All at once I felt tremendous weight, as if my chest was going to cave. The tears that fell left a stain, the world we know's enslaved. Now I know it's hard to hear. You better heed the words I say. If we don't act as one, you'll see the false prophets will betray. Our lives define freedom. Our lives live in our own way. Our lives must define freedom. Or will we let them take it away? Our lives define freedom. Our lives live in our own way. Our lives must define freedom. Or will we let them take it away? Now awake, I face the task ahead. Will we march into bloodshed? The founding fathers warned us the coming threat. The web of debt conceals. Where are the sons of liberty? Will the fascists have their way? If we don't act as one, you'll see the false prophets will betray. Our lives define freedom. Our lives live in our own way. Our lives must define freedom. Or will we let them take it away? Our lives define freedom. Our lives live in our own way. Our lives must define freedom. Or will we let them take it away? Rise up to define freedom. This revolution rise up to live in your own way. Rise up to define freedom. Or will we let them take it away? Rise up to define freedom. This revolution rise up to live in your own way. Rise up, bring down the fascists, bring down the tyrants with liberty. Rise up, rise up to live in your own way. Rise up, or will we let them take it away? Rise up, rise up to live in your own way. Don't let them take it. Rise up, don't let them take it. Don't let them take it away. Rise up,
I know some of y'all out there think you're the fucking man, right? But you ain't shit. Let me tell you who the man really is.
The man is the architect who drew up the plans. Like the man built the levees that couldn't even stand. The man made it that way so that the man could command. And it's staying that way cause he's the man in command. The man's in the mirror, man. He don't look like Uncle Sam. The man makes sure every business deal favors the man. Like he cheated the Indians when he stole their land. The man discovered America, but there were men on the sand. The man's a music label who promotes your band, then takes most of the cut even though they're your fans. The man is greedy as fuck and he doesn't even care. Like Bernie Madoff stealing savings in a Ponzi scam. The man leaves a bum the handle and takes his pan. The man trims population so he's the last one to stand. The man does whatever the man wants cause the man can. If it's between you and the man, you don't even stand a chance.
Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? You is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? Man, you is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? You is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? Man, you is the man.
The man is every kid selling rock on the block. The man stands for every inside traded stock that's been bought. The man's the one with a gun when an innocent person's been shot. The man's the one who kills at will, not bullets from cops. The man is suspect number one, but he's never been sought. The man uses child labor to fill your need to shop. The man spills his drink, tells you get the mop. The man built the pyramid and watches from the top. And if the man wants something, he pulls out all the stops. The man lets people starve while others hog the pot. The man preaches pro-life, denies your right to die. Don't disagree with the man, he kills you right on sight. He's the marksman who's got you lined up in his sight. The man determines our fate, that shit you cannot deny. The man's convinced us change is bad and that we shouldn't even try. And anything the man says, I can't help think it's a lie.
Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? You is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? Man, you is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? You is the man. Are you the man? Who is the man? Am I the man? Man, you is the man.
The man knows self-defense like karate chop to the throat when your country's attacked. The man reads my pet goat. The man stole all our gold and gave us these paper notes. The man rigs the system if he needs enough votes. The man's building an empire and digging a moat. The man floods all the rivers and sinks all the boats. The man likes it when you're down. He tries to take away hope. The man makes you depressed, then he tells you to cope. The man sells pharmaceutical drugs, declares war on dope. The man is Michael from The Office when he tells offensive jokes. The man banishes cult leaders but worships the Pope. The man killed Kennedy and he wasn't alone. The man is cold to the bone, he's got no feelings to hurt. It was the man who tied a noose at the end of a rope. But the man is scared, man, too many minds to control. The man is outnumbered, it's up to us to revolt.
It's Tuesday.
Live Tuesday nights, the first 52, Raz Radio Live, from 6 to 8. Is this Raz?
Yes, sorry.
This is the best you got?
Someone the NSA once listed as the most dangerous hacker in America. Sure don't look like much.
Angry White Guy Radio.
Yeah, but he does take a different stance. You know, his point of view is different. The first part of the, Constitution.
I love the content. Hey, it's the first 52, Raz with you.
Join me, Sean Raz, Tuesday nights, 6 to 8 p.m., RazRadioLive.com, RadioFreeBlood.com. He'll be back. It's time for a TF52 flashback.
Look, sooner or later, you're going to come to the realization that no matter what we do, it won't get better. You could live in your fairyland and think that, oh yeah, things are going to get better when we do this, or when we vote this person in, or when we do that, or blah blah blah. It doesn't get better. And again, I'm not going by what I think will happen. I'm going by what I've seen what happen, in the past.
All right, let's stick with our election coverage here tonight.
Well, hey, before we get off that subject, do you have anything you would propose that could be done that would be effective? Or are you
That's
just
going to
pointing
end
out
up with
what's
the FBI
not
visiting
working?
his house.
Exactly. I don't really talk about the thing that I think that would change this country, but I have said it in a hidden way. And what I will always say is you defund them, and you figure out how to do that, and then we'll have the answer, because all they're after is our money. And if you take the money away, they have no power.
So, like a Fight Club scenario?
Wait, hold on. Like a Fight Club scenario, and Shifty said you said doom and gloom. What were you saying there?
Oh, I said, I was saying, so amongst all this doom and gloom, we have some really great news coming out of Massachusetts tonight.
Do we?
What is it? Medical marijuana has officially been passed in the great, I believe Massachusetts is a commonwealth, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's like Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Massachusetts has medical marijuana passed, though, which is great.
Excellent.
All right, what is that? The 17th state in the nation that's done it?
18th, I believe.
I mean, you might be right. You might be
I think
right.
it was 17 already.
18th,
it would be the 18th state, yeah.
And Florida's just holding out, man.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Which makes no sense, because we have the most sickest people down here.
Go ahead.
That would be the 18th state. Make sure you don't forget about the District of Columbia.
Yes, of course, the people trying very hard to keep it from most of us have it legal in their state. Go figure, right?
Well, the people in power, it doesn't matter whether it's legal or not. They'll just do it and get away with it.
Like we do.
Time and time.
Yeah, kind of like the rest of us do.
Yo, they keep talking about a global solution. Why don't they go back to basics? Gold, silver, commodities, real economy. Will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. Tyranny will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. A global awakening is happening. The enemy is napping in their palaces. We breaking up their fallacies. Man, please, they tell us that the government must do it all. Civil liberties and justice nailed to a cross. But we not buying it, even though they trying this. Global governance, I mean global government, same thing. Welcome to the world of double speak. The mainstream media keep the masses asleep. But there's a remnant, like my man Ron Paul. In the U.S. alone, 1 million or more. And let's not talk about all over the world. Too many to count, too many you found. The truth about what's going on around them. How men conspire to drown them in the sea of pain and suffering. But it's not enough of them if some of us got up and fought to win. Wicked ones will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. The enemy will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom. Are we gonna wait till they hear the kick down the door when it's too late? How much suffering must we endure? A new fate is what we need. Erase these fucking thieves. It needs to be done for our kids to breathe. Cause we up against those that will kill our seed. Call it eugenics, I call it murder. But if you turn on CNN, it's unheard of. Welcome to the Matrix. Here's the red pill, take it. Don't choose to live your life faking it. After all, America the Great has been hit with blows from globalists foes with big chips from a scheme with money they print from thin air. A central bank like the Fed, we've been there, and it's been fed and fought with blood was bought. What little freedom was acquired, but we back in the fire. Too many frogs in the pot, don't feel it getting hot. Wicked ones will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. The enemy will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom. Yo, talk to a person on the street and they feel it in their gut. They might not be able to pinpoint what, but they can feel that something's up, that there's a giant above them ready to crush. But the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So lovers of liberty and justice push on to victory, and I feel blessed fate picked me to be a part of the greatest movement. In the middle of chaos, the thought is soothing, confounding the wicked cause they targets moving. They only good at killing the sheep, but wait till they get what they reap. Weeping and gnashing the teeth for all of the evil they wreak. Every time truth we speak, the machine creaks as we launch attacks from beneath and patiently await their defeat. Wicked ones will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. The enemy will fail and fail hard. They don't think the people's in charge. We'll stand tall, we'll never fall, and we can't stop till it's freedom for all. Yo, I want everybody to check out Infowars.com. Support your man Alex Jones. He's fighting the good fight. Get your storable foods. Get your weapons. Learn how to live off the land, cause it's about to go down.
Being a cat can be damn tedious. People dangling bells and bits of string in your face all the time. Just be a dog. Run around, catch frisbees, pee on a fire hydrant. Life's more rewarding, and you get access to lots of treats. Catch Salty Talk Mondays and Wednesdays, and every Friday for Salty's Weekend Warm-Up, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Add a little salt to your life and be more dog.
want the heads which was last. Yeah, I want that blood which was last. I want blood. I want blood. I want blood. I want blood.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You know, you'd think, honey, one of these days I may remember to turn the auto DJ off so we don't get the dun 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 at the beginning of the show. You guys will listen to the first 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Free Blood, Radio Chaos, Radio Confluence, Salty Talk Radio, Disruption Networks, I don't know, a bunch of other places, Ustream, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. I think that's it. I think that's everywhere you can actually find us at. I hope that's everywhere. But we are here. It is Tuesday. What is today? The 14th of November. It's fucking November 14th already. I can't believe how quickly the time goes by. How quickly we have to realize that life is changing constantly. Constantly is changing. And it's going too fast. Anyway, welcome to the First 52. Here we are, another Tuesday night. My beautiful wife sitting across from me. How you doing, honey?
Doing good.
You doing good, good?
Why is there tinfoil on the lamp?
Because there's tinfoil everywhere.
I just noticed that.
I was trying to do the lighting last night for the room.
So weird.
For the Twitch and the YouTube
That's not a
feed.
good idea.
But nobody can see it. It's not in the video at all. Only you can see it.
I hate it a lot.
You hate it a lot?
Yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to do some weird stuff, and, you know, that's what happens. It's just weird. I don't know what to tell you. Then, of course, the four-toed one, all the way out in Guatemala somewhere. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, but my internet's taking a shit. As soon as you played the Morpheus bit, it started to go dead. So I might be in and out.
The Guatemalan authorities are already onto us. How you been, brother? You know, we missed you last week. You fell asleep on us and never woke up.
Yeah, I took a short nap because I celebrated being a grandfather last Tuesday, and I took an 8-hour nap.
Yeah, congratulations, man. I mean, you know, that is a big thing. I know the situations are kind of strange, but that's a big thing to be able to say that you're a grandpa now.
Well, let's just say we're not sure if I'm a grandfather.
You're still working on it. And just so everybody knows, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or Periscope or Ustream, I don't have video feed of Dave, so I just have a stock photo of the four-toed one up there for you all to see as he's talking.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that picture of you in Guatemala.
Yeah, so hopefully, well, I paid rent until the end of December, so I think January I'm going to go back to Panachel, back across the lake where I have better internet, and so maybe I could do better shows then.
Well, hopefully you'll be living up the road from us not too long from now, so that's more what I'm concerned about.
Well, I rebooked my flight for January 30th because I was supposed to go home last Tuesday, actually. But we'll see what happens. Remember, it's all there are 4 options in my life right now. 3 of them require me to go back to Florida. One, if he gets every other weekend custody, because it's a long story, but if he gets every other weekend, then I can move by you. If he gets shared custody or 50% custody, I have to move to Pinellas County where the baby will be. So and if he gets full custody, we got to both move to my mother's, where my mother lives.
Well, if he gets full custody, this is a good area here where we live. If he gets full custody, he should consider coming down this way a little bit more, even if he has to commute a little bit for work.
No. I'm not going to become a full-time father. I need my mother's help. So.
Well, you've done that
that's
already.
why
You've
we
already
gotta
been
go
a
over there.
full-time father once.
Exactly. I don't want to do it again.
Honey,
so
you gonna say hi to Forte?
He was talking.
Oh, you didn't say hi. You just kind of like sitting over there all quiet.
Sorry, I was texting back coworkers.
Oh, sorry.
It's been hectic.
It's been a hectic day at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lexi got to see you last time you were here, Dave. I didn't get to see you. I'm a little depressed about that. Gotta tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
well, you still got a job where you're on call.
Yeah, I know it sucks, doesn't it?
Well, you still got a job.
That's a good point too. I guess that is definitely a good point. If you don't know, we have Ford Fischer joining us tonight again. News2share.com, News to Share on Twitter. He's been doing, and I'm on call, so you're going to hear my phone. Sorry, I apologize. I usually turn it off, but when I'm on call, I can't. But who the hell is tweeting me like crazy? Anyway, Ford Fischer will be joining us tonight.
Turn off your Twitter
I'm going to
notifications.
have to turn that. Yeah, I'm going to just have to turn it down for right now. I'll pay attention to it. If I get a call, I'll pay attention. He'll be joining us tonight. He's got a documentary he's working on. And this is something that intrigues me, and I have been sharing a lot of news articles about this, but transhumanism. And Dave, we've discussed transhumanism in the past. He's putting a documentary together. If you want to try to help him out, go to Patreon.
Patreon.
It's not the tequila. It's the website, Patreon, /Ford Fischer. And sign up a little bit. We're going to hopefully start one of them up ourselves soon. But let's get the Twitter working good first before we try to do that. But anyway, check that out. I'll play during the next break, I think I'm going to play the video promoting it. What, do you see Mikey in the back? Oh, you can't see anything. Can you, Dave?
No. No, I can't.
Not at all.
I actually had to shut everything. I had to shut everything down. All I have is Mumble running, so that I don't use any more network. I even turned off my cell phone, so I can't. Well, I turned off the wireless, so I could still tweet and respond to people and shit. But I'm trying to make this show happen. I'm trying to be as technical problem free as I can.
Well, when you're in a third world country, I mean, we can't expect the most out of you. So it's okay. We can accept, a little problems with your third world living. That's the delay.
Yeah.
People are probably wondering too, and that's why there's kind of a delay between Dave and I, because I can hear that he's a little bit behind us there. But that's what makes it interesting.
It is.
I think it is. How many times do you have a co-host that's in a third world country doing exactly what he said he was going to do?
Nobody.
I'm not sure anyone.
Well, we have somebody.
There's no duplicate of Dave.
No, there's definitely no duplicate of Dave. Thank God for that one. we're very, very, very lucky to have no duplicate of Dave. Listen, Dave, something I know you've been, really big on over the years, something you've been pushing on, and I wish I would have done a little bit more back in 2012 when you told me to. But Bitcoin, we've seen this. We were at like $75,000 or $78,000 or $7,800 the other day as their peak. I believe when you started mining it, it was like $14 a coin. But we've seen
No. It was not even 14 cents when I opened up my first wallet with CPU mining capabilities in 2009. Remember the first transaction with the Bitcoin was in Jacksonville, Florida, and they traded 10,000 Bitcoin. Yeah. So it wasn't even a cent at that point when I was looking at it.
And that guy that got the 10,000 Bitcoin is now sitting on like fucking $7 million because of that. If he kept it, obviously.
Probably way more than that.
Well, but the point I'm bringing up here is, and obviously we see anything with a market value, anything that is traded as a commodity, you're going to see a fluctuation in it. But we've seen a 24 or 25% drop here over the past 5 days, and I believe in the Bitcoin. I think it's a good, feasible alternative. But as my financial guy, as a guy that has always been big in finances, what's your thought on this drop?
Well, Bitcoin is very volatile. It's subject to, if China regulates it, then boom, it goes down, or but it's very small thing. It'll be a blip. It goes down very much, and then it comes back up. Look, over the course of 5 years, it's steadily gone higher and higher. But there's all these things with Bitcoin forks. Because I'm not
Bitcoin's
even
making
anymore.
forks.
There's Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin's.
Wait, Bitcoin's making forks now.
Well, fork in the
fork you too.
Yeah, Bitcoin fork.
Fork you too.
No knives, just forks. So I feel it's a fledgling currency, or it's a fledgling what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, shit,
Honey,
I'm not even drunk.
Got a word for him?
Concept. It's a fledgling concept, right? And there are others like Ethereum and all these other coins that are out there. Like when I bought Bitcoin I bought a quarter of a Bitcoin for $200. Was it 4 or 5 years ago? And I had spent $10 of that, and I transferred $10 of that and bought $10 worth of Guncoin. And that didn't do nothing happened with that. And there was Litecoin, there's all these other coins. Eventually, somebody's going to come out with something. The problem with Bitcoin now is it's so many people have adopted it. It's now the transactions are actually slowing down. This is why they're going to do a fork, I think, very soon.
Well, and I also saw something about they're talking about actually doing different trading with it, or bringing it into the futures markets.
Yeah, that's so that they can control it. I'm against all that shit. I'm against the ETFs. I'm against the futures. I'm against all that shit because that's how governments are going to start regulating it. So it'll probably happen, and then it might lose value because let's be honest, the people that started using that were all fucking geeks. And they'll figure out a way to go to some other cryptocurrency, and they'll just be, other currencies, and then a government will try to regulate that, and then there'll be another one. But remember, it's all based on the blockchain.
So do you see Bitcoin taking a crash here, or what's going on exactly with Bitcoin? What do you think is happening there?
I don't think there'll be much of a crash until the federal government makes their ruling on it. Because years ago they said it was a commodity, not a commodity. I can't remember exactly what their ruling was, but it basically was not a currency. As soon as they regulate it as a currency, that's when bad shit will happen.
Well, it says here, investors who have stuck with Bitcoin have been rewarded handsomely. 3 years ago, the digital currency was at $300, and 6 years ago, it was at $2. And that's if you even bought it, because back then, people didn't buy it. They just mined it. I mean, 6 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, you weren't in the market buying Bitcoin. You were building a computer program and a computer to mine it. So you never put any money in it to begin with. What the fuck are you beating on over there? Jesus Christ, Dave.
Well, Oh, this microphone's I have a new microphone, by the way.
Sounds like you're beating on your keyboard, really doesn't it, honey?
I was just actually.
I told
you know what the
it's
problem
like
is?
he types with hammers. No, now I don't have I'll keep that in mind. I don't have a mic stand anymore. I just have it's sitting on the table. So it's right next to the. That's the keyboard. So it's going through. Yeah. So
placing your mic next to the keyboard is probably the way you type is not the best idea.
Yeah, I'll do my best not to type. Anyway, I was looking up what I was pounding on was like if I had gotten one award back in 2009 and I got 50 coins back when they were giving out 50 coins per award is what you call it.
Right.
It'd be worth $350,000 at $7,000 a coin.
Wow. That's just crazy. I've thought about that. I kind of kicked myself in the ass for not listening to you in the beginning.
Well, let's be honest. If you bought it at $20, you would have sold it at $200. That's what I would have done. If I knew what the hell I was doing and just mined a bunch of them, and then like I didn't know how to practice good wallet things, like I would have totally lost all these coins. I would have not been good at it at all. I kicked myself in the ass. I shut off the wallet after 3 days because I don't like how it was slowing down my computer. Meanwhile, right behind me, I had 3 more computers, which you got most of them, just sitting there. And I could have set them up and just let them mine all day long, right? And let's just say I got, 50 coins.
Do I have any hidden Bitcoins on any of these
I
computers?
probably would have thrown... No, because I formatted everything.
Oh, you suck. I might be sitting on like 10 grand. I don't even know.
I never actually got any Bitcoin back then. I didn't get my first Bitcoin. Well, I didn't get my first piece of Bitcoin probably like 2011, 2012, and I got like what was worth 2 cents at that point. It's probably worth $200 today. I don't know where that fucking
was it a full coin or what coin was it?
But,
You don't know. See, there's the problem. You lose your digital wallet, or your digital wallet gets stolen, and then what?
Well, that's the thing is you didn't learn good wallet etiquette until all these crazy things started happening.
Dude, I learned good wallet etiquette when I was like 12 years old.
I had a property investor. I don't think Dave was on air when or maybe we were just talking about it.
It was last week. I think we were talking about. Yeah, maybe.
But I was talking to this investor, and he'll buy. What he'll do is he'll put an offer in on a property and make it assignable. He'll find another buyer to offer twice as much, and he keeps the difference as an assigner, basically.
Yeah, that's arbitrage.
So on occasion, his buyer falls through, and then he has to make good on his offer. And he said, I'm thinking honestly about just switching to closing out all my transactions through Bitcoin. And I was just like, okay, well, you're going to have to let the rest of the world catch up with you because I've never done a transaction just using Bitcoin. Like, I don't even know that we can. I mean, how do you just say that?
Well, it is a form of currency, so it wouldn't be that hard.
Really?
Well, it's a currency that it's a non-recognized currency. I don't think you could do any title work or any legal work when Bitcoin's at stake because you're not insuring that.
So it'd have to be converted into dollars first?
Well, that's what everybody's doing. Everybody's converting it to something, right?
Right.
Until somebody like there are people that actually live almost entirely on Bitcoin. You could live in Keene, New Hampshire, and never touch another greenback again because there's so much there that's available to Bitcoin.
There's
a
cold and shitty there.
I know, but there's a bar here.
There's a bar here. Yeah.
There's a bar here named Sublime, and when I came over here to I was here one time, I was like, oh, I love the place, and I came back by myself to kind of check it out, and this is over in San Pedro, and I went to this bar, and I look up on the fucking board, it says, we take Bitcoin. I was like, I'm home. I'm moving here. Because I can't find a place in St. Petersburg, Florida, that takes Bitcoin, but they got stuff here because it's a hippie town.
That's good to hear. I mean, it's interesting to see the expansion of these things, and I'm not against them. We're going to get into another conversation here pretty soon that I'm not against, but I still have an alternative view on. Probably can guess what the hell I'm talking about. But anyway, I just wanted to get your reaction on the plunge of Bitcoin and the way it has been very volatile the past few months. It hasn't been, growing and steady. It's been growing, dropping, growing, dropping, growing, dropping, like anything else. And I'm sure there's got to be something more to that than just it's dropping. You know what I mean?
Well, remember, it's just like everything else that's traded. It is subject to rumors and news, right? I'm teaching myself how to actually trade the forex market, which is currencies. And like I placed a trade. I'm doing demo trading, right? I placed a trade yesterday while I was on the bathroom at my girlfriend's house, right? And I lost $1,500 overnight, right? And that's because the euro. I'm trading the the dollar, the American dollar, and the euro together. I'm only doing one pair, and just news made the euro drop, and It's just like I'm learning this is a fundamental or sentiment is actually what it's called, but it's still strong. It'll dip down for a little while, then it'll go back up again, and you got to follow the trends. And it's trending. Bitcoin is trending, solidly trending north.
Well, and that's a good thing. And we want to hope that that's the way it goes, and we want to hope that it works out properly. And again, I'm not against it, and we'll pay attention to it. Let's move on to the next one because we do have Ford Fischer joining us at 7:15. So we want to make sure we take a break at a proper time to take a break. We are going to have our first. If you're watching us on Ustream or Twitch or YouTube or Periscope, I finally figured it out after years of racking my brains to figure out how to share this shit with you. You can watch the videos with me. So I'm very happy to say that. I just had to share that with you. I had to let you know that. And let's get into this conversation. I think you'll like this one, Dave.
A father is being hailed a hero after police say he foiled an attempted kidnapping of his 17-year-old daughter. 4 teens, including 19-year-old Keelan Johnson, are accused of trying to rob the 51-year-old man and take his daughter, likely for ransom.
Officers saying their plan quickly unraveled after the man heard them trying to break into his garage and opened fire. Police later arrested them after they took off in their SUV. They've been charged with attempted kidnapping.
What do you think of that one, Dave?
Yeah, I read that down here, and I was like, yeah, you go, dude. And I might have even posted about it because, it's a good guy with a gun, thwarts a crime, which doesn't get a lot of airplay.
Very rarely does it. I was really surprised with the church shooting a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, how much they talked about how the civilians stopped that attack, basically. And then as I was watching, we didn't even get into this last week. I totally forgot about this, honey. But I watched this story about how these guys, this one guy that lived next to the church, had fired upon the guy that was shooting up the church. And allegedly, one of the stories I'd heard is that he even took his weapon away from him and shot him with his own weapon. Then he gets in the stranger's car, and they chase this guy down at 95 miles an hour through the town. This is all there's video of this guy talking about it. And then I'm sitting at Tony's, and I'm watching the news, and across the bottom, and this is hours later, across the bottom of the screen, it's talking about how the police were in a high-speed chase with this guy, and they don't know how he died.
Oh, did he just vanish mysteriously?
Well, it's how news works with these shootings. Go ahead, Dave.
One of the things I've learned over the 7-8 years that I've been in this conspiracy world is that initial reports are always fucked up, right?
But when you have the actual guys that chased this guy down, describing what they did, and then you hear the cops say, "Oh, well, we had a high-speed chase with him and had a gunfight with him."
No, it's not the cops; it's the reporters. The cops might have said there was a high-speed chase and he's down, or they might have heard it over the radio. So some reporter might have heard it over the radio that there's a high-speed chase, and boom, he immediately puts out there on Twitter or because remember they do things by the second and do no fact-checking. So it's the mainstream media who's really fucking things up.
I don't disagree with that. But here's the thing: I'm watching an interview with an individual. This was right after it happened. That claims he was, and this is the guy they touted as the hero that shot this guy. The story of just him alone, and they stuck with the story that he shot him. But the story of him alone is so contrived and so spun out of control. It's just it's so sad to see it happen like that.
Yeah, my favorite part of this whole story, as sad as it is that the government fucked up. They didn't report that he was a violent.
The Air Force, right? The Air Force, you get dishonorably discharged from the Air Force, and this leads to the conspiracy side of the story, though, Dave. You get dishonorably discharged from the Air Force for beating your wife and child, to the fact that you fractured your 2-year-old stepchild's skull. You beat him so bad, but they forget to report that you were dishonorably discharged. That's not how it works, my friend. I know people that have been dishonorably discharged for lesser offenses, for stupid shit, that that it's there on their record. So that just raises the conspiracy question.
Well, it's on the military's record, but it's the military that didn't report it to the
FBI,
wherever the background checks, the FBI, right? So it's listen, the military is fraught with fucking people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. If you know what you're doing, you go out and make money doing it way. If you don't know what you're doing, you join the military, right? And I hate to insult people that are in the military because I know some ex-military members that are.
I was in the
sorry
military.
about all the noise here. Yeah, well, what else were you doing? Oh, you know why you were in the military? Because you got a DUI and you didn't become a cop.
I wanted to become a cop, so I joined the military, and then the military led me to drink heavily, which got me my DUI, which is why I couldn't become a cop, because I got a DUI at that point.
Thank God you weren't a cop. Anyway.
Oh, I would have been a bad cop. I would have been a really, really bad
You would
cop.
have been an awful cop.
I would have, yeah, I would have been a douchebag.
Yeah.
I would have shot a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, me too. No doubt about it. And I truly believe that power corrupts. Like I would be an excellent cop now, but 25, 30 years ago, no way.
Yeah. No, I agree with. Yeah, absolutely. Look at Erickson Harrow.
Sean would just be confiscating things all the time.
I would be the worst. I'd be a fucking. I'd be a traffic cop from hell. You know how I am about traffic. That's like my biggest thing. Fucking people that don't know how to drive. That's all I want to be a cop just to hassle people that can't drive properly. That's all I want to
Reckless
do.
driving
I hate
and
people that can't drive. Learn how to make a turn. If you make a turn from one lane, you stay in that lane as you make the turn. If you're in
Oh my God, Road Rage McGee. Move on.
I fucking hate the way
I get it.
hate the way people drive. If I lived in a third world country, I'd shoot a lot of people because of how they drove.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, they're so much better here. I mean, they're a little bit more.
That's because they're
aggressive
afraid of
and
going to get shot.
You don't own the lane. No. They're just. It's like I've become one of them. You should see me ride my fucking motorcycle, man. I don't wait for lights. I drive on the other side of the road. I've driven on the sidewalk. Nobody gives a shit, but because
we do that here in America too, though.
You do not own your. No. Listen, I've ridden motorcycle in the States, and you own your lane. You're in the lane. Nobody comes next to you. Nobody passes you, right? Now, the other motorcycles don't pass you in the lane, right? They'll go out, they'll change lanes, and they'll go past you. Here, they'll whip right past you, 4 inches away from you, right? Two of them. If I'm riding in the middle of the lane, two people ride right past me on either side, right? And cars and tuk-tuks will do this too, right?
The hell's tuk-tuk is that running thing? Man. Yeah. The chicken buses.
Three-wheel things. The chicken buses are the fastest things on
That's high-speed
on the
chicken
roads
there,
here, right?
The chicken bus. He's driving the chicken bus. I'm going to bring you some shit on the chicken bus.
Right. I've had a chicken bus pass me on the highway so fast it almost blew me off the road. But that's just the way it is. You got to be. This is what makes them better drivers because they're on point. They use their blinkers every single time. They're aware. They honk.
My wife doesn't know anything about that.
They honk to say I'm here.
Sean, when you're following me and you know where I'm going, why do I have to indicate that I'm turning right?
Because the guy in front of you doesn't know where you're going.
Oh my God. You're such a dick. I'm a much better driver than you, by the way.
No, well,
you're
if
dangerous and moody.
If you don't use your indicators, then you're not as good as a driver.
Exactly. My point. Exactly.
There are no stop signs. Well, there are not a lot of stop signs. There's even less fucking street lights. So you have to communicate which way you're going. So it's like a mesh. When I'm in Panachel and I go over the bridge. I either have to make a left or a right, and all these other vehicles are coming over the bridge too. So I have to turn my blinker on, and I'm turning left, so that the tuk-tuk knows I'm turning left, and he's coming over the bridge. And I go in front of him, he goes behind me. It's I have not seen any fucking accidents in the town of Panachel, despite it's fucking chaotic.
Well, you've seen some guys gunned down, that's for sure, but they were douchebags anyway, from what I could read in the stories you share.
Which what? Who what?
I don't know. You've had a couple guys gunned down by the locals. They were kind of douchebags, and from what I've seen in the stories you've shared in the 8 months you've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not because it's not because of the
It's New York. Yeah.
It's not because of driving.
Well, no, I was just talking about douchebags in general. That's all. I just kind of starburst to Dave. You know how I do that.
He's trying to pick and find something wrong.
He's banging on the keyboard again, as you can hear. All right, why don't we take
back out?
Oh no, I just picked. No, I picked up my water bottle. I'm sorry.
That was you picking up the water bottle? Wait till you hear the rebroadcast. You'll be like, oh my God, that was a water bottle I picked up?
I don't listen to the rebroadcast.
Obviously. He doesn't even listen to our show ever. Ever. It's okay. I love you, Dave, anyway. All right, let's take a quick break.
I'm out here having the time. Wait. I'm out here having the time of my fucking life. I want to listen to radio shows.
Well, I don't blame you. Did I say I blamed you? No, I didn't say I blamed you.
We're giving him shit.
What? But that's what I do. I give shit.
If
you give shit.
If I was able to get you guys to come down here, you'd never go back.
Well, if I had the ability to get a passport at this point in time, I'd come visit you. But that's not going to happen right now. We're working on it, but that's not happening right now.
Guys, all right. So you know, I went to the Pacific Coast last weekend, right? And I was by the beach.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Yeah, I was thinking about you guys the whole time because I was like, you guys would love this spot, and
those waves were too big.
I could totally see you running a hotel.
Those waves are too big over there
for
me.
Shit, they were.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dude, I didn't publicize this yet, but no, I didn't wait a minute, hold on, let me move this mic. I didn't publicize this yet at all. So this is a Raz Radio exclusive. The next morning, I got up to watch the sun, right, sunrise, and I had my sandals on. I wound up kicking, like I was kicking the sand off my sandals, and I wound up cutting my toe. Didn't notice it until breakfast. And my girlfriend looks under the table, and she's the front of my toe bleeding all over my sandal. Right? She goes, "Oh, your toe's cut." And I was like, "Ah, fuck." So it was like after breakfast, while we were dicking around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go stick my feet in the salt water to try to heal this up, right? Because, you know, the salt water helps heal stuff.
Right.
And you're all right. So you've been on the East Coast, right? And I'm assuming you've been to the beaches on the East Coast.
Yeah, I grew up on the beaches on the East Coast.
All right, so you know how the waves come in and the water kind of comes up and then goes back out, and your feet kind of gets, you know, the sand around your feet gets worn away and you kind of sink in, and it's, you know, it's kind of gentle, and sometimes it can make you lose your balance and shit, right? So I'm walking down towards the beach, right, and I'm trying to just get my feet in the water, right? I don't want to fucking go in there, right? But there was a bunch of short waves. So that got me to go way down into the beach, and then this fucking giant wave comes, and not only does it go above my feet, it goes to the middle of my thighs, right? And like knocks me the fuck
like out
over,
of nowhere, this big
right?
old giant wave comes and hits you?
Well, there were a bunch of giant waves, and I was watching the shoreline, and I was like, oh, it seems to be going away. Like, I didn't stand there and watch it for a while, but the waves leading up to me walking down to the beach were kind of short. You know, I would have waited for the wave to hit, you know, to go the fullest part in, and I would have stood there and like kind of went another 5 feet in.
Right.
Right. But the last few were so short that the furthest part was way down the beach. So then I guess the next couple of waves were bigger, and so this wave comes in, fucking goes up to my leg. I'm like, oh shit! And I start walking backwards, and then the wave, you know, it starts to pull out, right? And
I hate when the
knocks
wave
me
pulls out.
over, right? Or not, makes me.
You started laughing. As soon as
I
you
start
said that.
losing my balance. I start losing my balance, right? And I'm like, I know I'm going down, right? And I spin around.
As
and
the wave's pulling out, Dave's going down.
Land under the ground.
You just know it's coming.
I'll stop the story
oh,
now.
Oh, man,
go ahead,
here I go.
Finish the story. Go ahead, finish the story. Go ahead.
Go on. It pulled out and you
So
went down.
as I go down, right? As I fall down, I stick my hands into the sand, right, and grab it like a claw, right? And my one leg is kind of up, and the other leg is stretched further out. And I swear it felt like the sea was grabbed my ankle, was dragging me. My whole fucking body was dragging me down. And I'm watching this other wave come up. I'm like, this is how it ends, right? I'm like, holy shit, this is really fucking powerful, right? But just you know how the wave like kind of like as it's going back out, it stops and then comes back in again. That point, I was able to get my ass up and almost outrun the fucking wave out of the off the beach. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, wow, that was fucking quick. You
So
know,
you
I
want
could have
Sean and I to
easily
come
just went
down
in
there
and
to be raped by the sea just like you
get
were.
rid of us?
Are you trying to dispose of us? Jesus, Forto.
All right, no.
There's other ways of getting out of the
She's
show,
raped by
Dave.
that
You don't have to
story,
kill us off.
We just won't. It's okay. You don't have to do the show anymore.
No. Well, it was a nice area, and I just thought that you guys would like it and could own a hotel and have a living here. But anyway, the problem is there are no boats there. There's no like canals. That's one of the things I noticed.
Yeah, that's a pretty common with me. I need my
also
boat.
found out that because we have me too. Because we just had a new moon or full moon not too long ago. That the waves are especially powerful this time of the month. And
we also had the super moon
the
or some
lifeguard
kind
said,
of crazy moon. It was like the closest it's been in 15 years or some bullshit like that. This past weekend, I actually wanted to take the telescope out and I forgot.
And you were on the
there's
West
that.
Coast, right?
Pacific Coast, yeah.
Yeah. So what would be your travel to the East Coast? Is it much further?
Well, he's right in the middle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. No, it's much further. It's a 7-hour trip to Rio Dulce, which is on a river, and then it's a 2-hour boat ride to go to Livingston, which is on the Caribbean coast. I want to do that before I go away.
Oh, you should.
Before I go back, because I found out that Rio Dulce is a great liveaboard community, and I'd be able to get a boat relatively cheap.
Now you're speaking
and
my
because
language.
it's a lake or because it's a river. Because it's a river, right? It's fresh water. You don't have to go clean the boat. No barnacles get attached to it. You could leave the boat in the water for years and nothing happens to it. And plus, they got nothing but marinas there. So I'm not going to ride the motorcycle there. I'm going to probably talk the girlfriend into coming because I don't like going places alone. And I'll have to go to Guatemala City and then catch a bus from there. It's a pain in the ass, but I'm going to do it.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's do it then, Dave. Let's just do it. All right, we're going to do it. We're going to take a break real fast. We got Ford Fischer joining us in about a half hour, give or take. So we'll do a little more conversation. I got some more stories I want to get into. And
I'm going to see if I can isolate this microphone.
Yeah, because I got a massive. You're like on a 5-second delay with Dave?
Yeah.
Definitely on a 5-second delay. Anyway, you guys will listen first 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Free Blood, Radio Chaos, Salty Talk Radio, the Disruption Network, some other places. Just find us. We're there. We'll talk to you soon. Sit tight. Thanks for joining us.
I love the content.
Don't go anywhere. The First 52 will be right back.
Have you ever called into your favorite talk radio program only to encounter this? And felt like this? That never happens when you dial 941-421-0401. At RazRadioLive.com, we answer right away. And pow, you're live on the air. One of your favorite hosts. No screeners, no delays. Try it now. 941-421-0401. And avoid 941-421-0401. If you're a new listener or a seasoned veteran, don't be scared. 941-421-0401. We welcome all. We know how it feels to be ignored. RazRadioLive.com.
We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Multinational overdrive, taking us for a ride. Globalism, suicide, it's all the same to me.
Being a cat can be damn tedious. People dangling bells and bits of string in your face all the time. Just be a dog. Run around, catch frisbees, pee on a fire hydrant. Life's more rewarding, and you get access to lots of treats. Catch Salty Talk Mondays and Wednesdays, and every Friday for Salty's Weekend Warm-Up, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Add a little salt to your life, and be more dog.
Here come the butchers to cut you into profit.
But Sean Raz from Raz Radio.
Yeah, he's from Raz Radio. Raz is our guy. I mean, you're Sean, Mother effing Raz.
Here come the butchers to cut you into profit.
I want the Raz. I want the Raz right now. Where is Mother effing Raz?
Join me, Sean Raz, for the first 52, Tuesday, 6 to 8 p.m., RazRadioLive.com. The simple power of two.
When you're depressed, where do you want to go? Cymbalta is a prescription medication. Tell your doctor right away if you're depressed.
Steps in a new direction. The Lord's forgiven you of everything in your life you don't want there, and He should.
Your copy of America on DVD. Have your credit card ready.
Own a mosque in the worst possible place. The controversy? It's only 2 blocks from Ground Zero. This week, Sarah Palin, up to already raucous debate, went on Twitter. She called on peaceful Muslims.
Yo, sensory deception. You ain't censoring shit. Yo. Yo, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey, yo, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my, yo. Senselessness has got me sensing less. Nonsensical sentences from the censorship. 5 senses regret, depressants, stimulants, sensory perception, deception. We on defense. Intentionally intense technical events, unintellectually infecting us through television sets. Couch potato brain, but vegetated as stew. They regulated my views through entertainment and news. Infiltrated education, product placement in schools. How I'm rocking my hat, how I'm lacing my shoes. Eating the shit the media's force feeding. You got little girls reading to bulimia. Believe it, bro, everyone's to blame. All became a part of this, blinded by the greed. We couldn't see the harm in this. Artists are charging marketing offices, planting the artificial seeds and harvesting the narcissists. Yo, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey, yo, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my, yo. Hey, yo, I touch it, I taste it, I smell it, I hear it, I see it. Love it, I hate it, don't want it there. I need it, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey, yo, I touch, taste, smell, hear, see, love, hate. Yo, it's mass murder by frankfurters and hamburgers. Supersize your suicidal pack. New arrival, $1 to and swallow that. Superficial world where everything's a fallacy. High speed, hook up, disconnect us from reality. All knowing Android, avoid us from thinking. Jim Jones, pop, coke, poison, punch, drinking. We are at war with your repetitive lines, hypnotize subconsciousness, rebellious rhymes, sabotage their reconnaissance. Supreme dominance over the whole populace. Hollowed out my head and filled the void with empty promises. Bionic, I'm finding it ironic. They cutting down the truth to write lies on it. Sexual saturation, instant gratification. Consume a nation, missing imagination. Mass communication, trapped in isolation. Handful of corporations got a grip on all the stations. You know why? It's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey, yo, it's sensory deception. You can't censor yo. Hey, yo, I touch it, I taste it, I smell it, I hear it, I see it. Love it, I hate it, don't want it there. I need it, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey, yo, I touch, taste, smell, hear, see, love, rock it. Censor my perception. Yo, you can't censor my, yo. Yo, hey yo, I touch it, I taste it, I smell it, I hear it, I see it. Love it, I hate it, don't want it there. I need it, it's sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Hey yo, I touch it, taste it, smell it, hear it, see it, love it, hate it. Don't want it there, but I need it. God, I need it. Why? Cause sensory deception. You can't censor my perception. Sensory deception. You can't censor my.
Okay. It's been a little while. It's been a little while since I've been here, and a couple of things have happened in that time. I'd like to talk a little bit about the war in the Persian Gulf. Big doings in the Persian Gulf. You know my favorite part of that war? It's the first war we ever had that was on every channel plus cable. And the war got good ratings, too, didn't it? Got good ratings. Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Huh? Can't build a decent car, can't make a TV set or a VCR worth of fuck. Got no steel industry left, can't educate our young people, can't get health care to our old people, but we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. Oh, we like that, don't we? That's our hobby. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country. Tell them to watch the fuck out, or we'll goddamn bomb them. Well, when's the last white people you can remember that we bombed? Can you remember the last white? Can you remember any white people we've ever bombed? The Germans, those are the only ones, and that's only because they were trying to cut in on our action. They wanted to dominate the world. Bullshit, that's our fucking job. That's our fucking job. And you probably noticed I don't feel about that war the way we were told we were supposed to feel about that war, the way we were ordered and instructed by the United States government to feel about that war. You see, I tell you, my mind doesn't work that way. I got this real moron thing I do. It's called thinking. And I'm not a very good American because I like to form my own opinions. I don't just roll over when I'm told to. Sad to say, most Americans just roll over on command. Not me. I have certain rules I live by. My first rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. Nothing. Zero. Nope. And I don't take very seriously the media or the press in this country, who in the case of the Persian Gulf War were nothing more than unpaid employees of the Department of Defense, and who most of the time function as kind of an unofficial public relations agency for the United States government. So I don't listen to
Feels like we're on the edge right now. I wish that I could say I'm proud. I'm sorry that I let you down. Let you down. All these voices in my head get loud. I wish that I could shut them out.
I added too many damn buttons for me to have to deal with over here. It's a little complicated to figure it all out. Welcome back to the First 52. Way too many buttons, honey. Too many sliders, switches, things that need to be done.
You did that.
I know I did that. I make myself so complicated. But that's okay. I want to do it. I want to make it entertaining and enjoyable for all of you out there listening. So that's what I do. I'm just going to continue to make shit harder for me.
Okay.
Fortoad, you there, brother?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my friend. I can hear you well, loud, and clear. So anyway,
I put the microphone on a bunch of shit, so hopefully you don't hear me making much noise anymore.
you put the microphone on a bunch of shit. That's really not a recommended stand for your microphone, just so you know.
I got this.
I'm just gonna pile it on my shit.
Going out again.
Are you bouncing, Dave? Is your internet going back? Ooh,
Hopefully you don't
monitors.
ping anymore.
Hey?
He's having issues.
He's always having issues.
He said, hopefully you don't need him anymore.
Uh-oh. Well, we got Ford joining us soon, so if Dave just crashed out, which is a possibility.
Oh,
when
wow.
you-
Way to say, oh, I don't care.
When you live in a third world country and that's what you choose to live in, then that, that
Oh
kind
my
of shit could happen to
God,
you
you guys
every
are
once
such
in a
a
while.
pain in the ass.
I love him. He knows I love him.
You would love to be here.
You're right. I probably would love to be there. I could see the enjoyment that is there, and I've got my own thoughts and wants and dreams. I mean, we all have those things.
Sometimes.
Mine's not living here and where we're living. I mean, I'm all about going to the Keys or something like that.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the ones that actually followed my dream, and I made all this happen. Because I had X amount of money a month to do what I wanted to do with, and I'm making the best of it.
So, Dave, listen, something we disagree upon a lot, and I don't think we really disagree on this subject, because I want you to understand, I do believe there is a problem with our climate. I do believe something's happening there that is partially affected by man, whether it be the government, whether it be whatever it be. All right. I want you to understand that I'm gonna concede that to you. Okay. Are you listening to me, or did I lose you? I'm conceding to you something here, Dave.
Oh, it's just a delayed response.
The government doesn't want you to tell you. Doesn't want you to tell me.
Well, here's the thing. All right, answer me, riddle me this, Batman. Okay. You have a California governor traveling all throughout Europe to deal with, give climate speeches. Is this the job of a governor? Let me ask you that question. Okay.
Wow, this is painful.
Is that the job of a governor? Whether you believe what he's speaking about or not, is that what he should be doing?
I missed all of that.
Aww.
Oh. All right, well, let me bring everybody up to speed.
Hold on. I heard California governor flying, and then that's it.
All right. Can you hear me now?
We'll see.
I can hear me. That's for sure. Jerry Brown, you know who that is, right?
Yes.
Okay. He's the governor of California.
Right.
Okay. Now, what is the job of a governor?
Govern the state that he's governor of.
Okay, so why is he in fucking Germany talking about climate change?
Because their tax dollars paid for that. And California is a bunch of progressives, and they think that, well, all right, so I think I know where you're going with this, because I think Jerry Brown wants to do whatever the Paris Accord says to do. So
he's in this
going
group
over
that
there
has
and
pledged. He's in this group that has pledged to keep America in the Accord against the wishes of our douchebag president.
Well, all right. So I'm actually for that because it's the state doing what it wants to do. All right. If the people of the state want to go there and
Look
do
at
that,
this motherfucker
then
spinning
that's
this around
fine,
on me, honey.
Right?
Look, he's spinning this around on me.
No.
Because I'm talking about. Wait, no.
No.
You're winning here. Relax for a sec. You're winning here. Relax. Take a breather. Here's the deal. I was coming in that what the fuck is the governor doing in another country? But if we were to eliminate the federal government, the governor's job would be to travel around the world and deal with issues.
Well, yeah.
Exactly. He governs the state he's governor of.
Yeah, okay, you got me. You fucking spun it back on me, dude.
Yeah. Well, I honestly hope California's the first to secede. fucking let them go, and let Vermont and then.
Well, yeah, because they're a bunch of
Hampshire and then
douchebags.
Florida,
I don't want them
let
giving
them
me
all go.
anything.
Let's get rid. Yeah, they are.
This is the 2-minute delay show that you're listening to tonight here on RazRadioLive.com.
Yeah, this is the first time this has happened.
We're on a delay
you know what?
for some
You know what,
reason.
Sean? Well, you got a guest coming on in a little bit. And I think I'm gonna bow out when it comes to guest time because it's just gonna be nothing but a pain in the ass, more of a pain in the ass. And hopefully the next time I'll have. Well, I can't fix anything because it's the internet.
Because I live in a third world country, and we really don't have the resources necessary to fix this problem.
Oh, Sean.
No. Here's the thing: is I know where the problem is, right? And
It's in the
quite
wiring
typical.
around
I'm
the
not gonna
camera.
bore- No. It's one of the servers, one of the routers in their network that's fucking up. Because I've pinged them all, and I know where the delay's coming out. Like I'm pinging that router right now, and I could see just by the ping time back when it's going to fuck up. Anything over 1,000 milliseconds, boom, I lose you. So I'm actually got a continuous ping going here, and I'm watching it go along. And right now we're doing okay, but once you mention something, boom, it goes to 1,000 or whatever. It's
like IT guy. That's like IT guy porn talk right there.
Is it?
Yeah, Mark understands what I'm talking about.
Mark and Shifty just kind of creamed in their pants.
No.
All right. Anyway, yeah. What was I going to do there? No. Well, so yeah. The other thing that was bothering me, Dave, that had come up this week, and I want to get with you real fast. I'm going to dial Ford up here in a second. But there was another. Where did it go? Oh, I had it pulled up. It was such a good one. It was all talking about solar radiation management. And, oh, honey, help me out here. I got two different screens going here. I got too much going on.
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
saw the story here. Oh, I wanted to talk about that. So I missed all this stuff I wanted to talk about because this one, we got about 5 minutes here or so. All right. And this one, hold on. I'm redirecting. It's not chemtrails. Don't worry, Dave. You're okay. You're in the clear. We're not talking chemtrails. This one bothered me in general because when I was in the military in 97, 98, when I first went in, the point of basic training was to weed out the crazies. I mean, that's really what it was. You had these guys that would, we had one guy in our unit, in our basic training unit, that he had an American flag tattooed on his shoulder. And it said, "These colors don't run." And he was picked up on I-60 or whatever the fuck major road was right off of Fort Sill, Oklahoma, trying to run from the Army. He went AWOL. He ran from basic training because he couldn't handle it. So I would say that having even law enforcement, if we're discussing the police department, would you expect your local police department to have stringent rules as far as your mental well-being? Should you have to go through a psychological evaluation to become a cop, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah?
When you're in a position of authority, yeah.
All right. So,
such as that.
If you're joining the military, do you think it should be okay for you to have any kind of mental issue, health issue?
Oh, you got to be a lot more specific.
Army lifts ban on waivers for recruits with history of some mental health issues.
Oh, why is that?
Well, let's see here. And I'm going to add this so that
Are they
the
short on
listeners
stock?
can read it while I read it, because that's always the fun part of seeing where I fuck up. People with a history of self-mutilation, bipolar disorder, depression, and drug and alcohol abuse can now seek waivers to join the Army under an unannounced policy enacted in August, according to documents obtained by USA Today. The decision to open Army recruiting to those with mental health conditions comes as the service faces the challenging goal of recruiting 80,000 new soldiers through September 2018.
What?
To meet last year's goal of 69,000, the Army accepted more recruits who fared poorly on aptitude tests, increased the number of waivers granted for marijuana use, and offered hundreds of millions of dollars in bonuses. Wait, here's a good one. I like this one. Increased the number of waivers granted for marijuana use, but the VA will not prescribe marijuana to veterans with PTSD who would like to use that as their form of treatment.
Okay, so you're getting at two different points.
Yeah, that just, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, wait a second. That kind of bothers me. Expanding the waivers for mental health is possible in part because the Army now has access to more medical information about each potential recruit. Lieutenant Colonel Randy Taylor, a spokesman, an Army spokesman, said in a statement, the Army issued the ban on waivers in 2009 amid an epic of suicide among troops. The decision was primarily due to the increased availability of medical records and other data, which is now more readily available. Taylor's statement to the USA Today said, "These records allow Army officials to better document applicants' medical histories. But accepting recruits with those mental health conditions in their past carries risk." According to this guy's name, ELSPETH is the first name. Can you figure that one out?
Elspeth. Let's assume the P is silent.
Elspeth. Whatever this guy's name is. See, what? Why?
What?
Why?
Are you hung up on the name?
Yes, and I lost my position. Yeah. That name really just totally set me on a...
Why is this happening?
Name...
sometimes people are named that, Sean.
Where'd he go? All right.
Sorry, it can't be a good English American name.
It's not even English American. Elspeth. Where is it? Did I scroll? No, wait. Now I got to pop up.
Oh my God, you're such a dork.
I'm such a dork. Red flag, blah, blah. Self-mute. I was just totally stupid. I totally lost. Oh, there we go. Oh, for somehow I got so pushed off and so pushed down. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or wherever, you'll see what I'm talking about. I don't know how that happened. I'm confused. Ford Fischer is going to be joining us here in a moment. Let me dial him up, actually.
Boy, goody for him.
Yeah, lucky him. Let me dial him up. Well, he's got you. You hit that button there. He is working on transhumanism. Now, honey, do you remember conversations about transhumanism in the past?
Yes.
I mean, we've had this conversation about that. It's not a new thing, but I think it's almost becoming a reality right now. We see a lot of stories, a lot of... I see these. I mean, it comes down to even just chipping. Before we with you one moment, it comes down to chipping just to go to work. You know, we see this big boom with, or who's going to get the chip, and you can get your commissary a little easier and a little quicker. Back 4 years ago, we discussed maybe having an arm implant or something done that can allow you to function better. And there are some positives. We've had this conversation, honey, right?
We have talked about some of these things, yes.
And there are positives to wanting to better yourself. You know, maybe make yourself
like a magic pill that makes your brain more alert and your body more...
There's chip implants they're talking about right now. There's Hey, listen, you lose your arm in a car accident. Wouldn't it be great to be able to have functionality and to
Like
be able to do something with
Whole
that?
stem cell deal. Yeah.
Exactly. But but
Why are we
what
not funding
degree
this?
what degree
Sorry.
is why are we not funding this? And what degree is okay? What degree is acceptable? Well, I think Ford
I'm
Fisher.
pretty sure we as human beings are definitely going to find out and push every possible limit.
We are
of
going
course.
to, and we want to reach out and do that. News to share, working on the newest thought of how to make life better for humanity. Ford, do I have you there, buddy?
Oh.
We did this last time too.
Oh, for real?
I've got everything turned up, so
Oh no.
it's all right. We'll get it. Don't worry. But he's working on this new documentary, and I've got it.
I
There's a
wonder
cool
if it's
video.
a thing like what you do when you have your phone on because he's got that mic in his headset. And you know how you have to switch it over?
And you forget to, or you don't.
Yeah. And it might be your fault too, so.
No, I've got everything turned on right now. That's for
okay,
sure.
Sure. All right. Oh, what? Blame the guest. That's real nice.
I would never do it. Transhumanism, though. Transhumanism is something that has been a questionable conversation for many. Hold on. I see a little message here. All right. Yeah, because he did say, I will say this. He said that there was a possibility. Oh, no, that was Dave.
Yeah, Dave said he'd probably have to go when the guest came on so he could figure out what was going on there. Ford's going to call back on his phone.
Yeah, I'm watching. Let me know if you see that popping up there. Newstoshare.com. And if you go to Patreon, no, not Patreon, Patreon / Ford Fisher, you could find the information about that. Hold on, he's calling me here.
You're funny.
You there, brother?
Hey, do you have me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I don't know what's going on with that computer. You're perfectly fine now.
Yep. All right. I switched from the computer to the iPhone. In any event,
man.
sorry about that, but I was able to see and hear you. So, yes, quite the introduction that the transhumanists are trying to sort of change life as we know it. And they would say for the better, but a lot of humanity is, concerned about radical science, right? Whenever something seeks to fundamentally change the way life is.
Are you concerned or optimistic?
I would like to call myself kind of cautiously optimistic, right? So I'm entering all of this world not as somebody who's attempting to make a commercial for their movement, certainly, but at the same time without an ideological opposition to it. I'm not going into it as some kind of a bioconservative trying to show that that something's wrong with it, right? I'm going into it essentially with an open mind to kind of create a snapshot of the types of developments and then the types of questions that come from those developments about this movement. And so far I've interviewed some skeptics and I've seen some of the criticisms people have of the movement. But it's been kind of fascinating.
Here's my thing. Hold on, Ford. Hold on for a second. And here's my thing. And this is something I've been hearing for years. I mean, I've been paying attention to this kind of conspiracy world type thing. And somebody talking about transhumanism, that's a section that they're going to say is a conspiracy type thing. Not saying it is, but you followed my point and direction. But this is an interesting topic because it can go from being an excellent, great idea to something we need to do. We need to be able to give somebody an arm that they lost, or we need to be able to allow a paralyzed person to walk. But where do we draw the line? Where does it become going from helping someone to increasing the power of an individual?
Sure. So there's kind of a distinction that is made in this community, and most transhumanists would say that both of the things that I'm about to say are okay, but there's a distinction between transformative developments and restorative ones. That is to say, if somebody loses an arm, it is pretty much generally accepted in society that they can get a new arm, and that new arm may not be exactly the same functionality. It could be better in some ways, and it could be worse in some ways. One person I spoke to, her name's Angel Jafrira. I may have pronounced it wrong, but she's actually an archer. She was born without one arm, and she has a very high functioning prosthetic arm, and she does archery with it.
Okay.
And she would claim that her replacement arm is actually better than our human arm because she can actually rotate her wrist 360 degrees. So in a way, she has transformed. She has actually transcended the functionality of a typical human body.
Right.
I actually filmed her get an RFID chip implanted into her human arm. So now both of her arms have some kind of a technological augmentation. But so some people would say that they would draw the line between kind of established medicine at restorative, that the purpose of medicine tends to be to make people up to par, not beyond par. And then the transhumanists would say, no, we can go a step further. We can use medicine, radical science medicine to move further. And then they would point to various cosmetic surgeries to say that in a way that's already accepted.
So do we take the thought of giving somebody a functional arm, right? And then we say, well, but we can take this guy who's been really intelligent. He's done success in business. He's a pretty powerful man in general. We can actually go in and add a microchip to his brain, which will make him 10 times more powerful than he is right now. Now, is that something we should allow, or walk into, or I hate to say allow because if you're not hurting somebody, I guess there's no foul, but you're going to hurt somebody eventually in that situation.
Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily poo-poo that concept either. I mean, I think one of the points where you're going to have to explore further in science is sort of figuring out how you can access more parts of your brain and utilize it. I mean, why would you limit yourself in that respect?
I don't know. What do you think?
So to answer the kind of question that goes with that about kind of where is the line drawn, or what do you think of kind of a brain augmentation? There are kind of two schools of thought that would be against it. I spoke to somebody I interviewed somebody who basically studies the politics of transhumanism, and at this point, it's not really in our political realm because the politicians haven't had to address it yet.
Right.
But what he thinks are going to emerge is that you can sort of like we currently have kind of four quadrants in politics, right? There's the authoritarian left, which would be like a communist, a state communist or something. An authoritarian right, which would be from your social conservatives all the way up to in the extreme like National Socialism. There's your libertarian right, which is libertarian, capitalist type libertarian, and then there's your libertarian left, which is more or less Antifa, anarchist, whatever.
Well, I don't wait. Hold on. I got to disagree with a layering libertarian left and Antifa together.
Yeah, well, so
you can't put the anti-fuck with the libertarian.
That I think that's how. I'm just describing the four quadrants.
Okay.
In the future, this professor kind of presented the concept that you'll probably have you can have kind of a left and a right still, and then you'll have bullish versus kind of bearish on radical science.
Okay.
So in terms of people who are anti-radical science, there will be a left-wing and a right-wing side. And so he calls this a right-wing bioconservative or a left-wing bioconservative. The right-wing bioconservative has the position that you probably have already heard at some point, and it exists now kind of for abortion and for stem cell research, et cetera, which is things like it goes against nature, it offends God, it's trying to become gods, it's inherently immoral, essentially on the grounds of kind of deontological faith, right? My faith says that it's wrong, or my moral system says that it's wrong.
Okay.
The left-wing bioconservative says it's not that it's inherently wrong, it's not that it's playing God or something like that. The problem for the left-wing bioconservative is this is going to exacerbate the social ills that we care about in the first place. So the left-wing bioconservative would say if the rich are able to afford all the brain augmentations, then the rich are going to be biologically smarter than I am, and then they're going to get richer, and I'm going to get even more left behind, right? So they would say it will exacerbate social inequality. It'll exacerbate, in their words, kind of ableism or things like that.
But wouldn't it encourage you to try to strive harder and get to have that ability? I don't see. That's the way I think. I'm kind of like a libertarian, conservative type person.
Right.
So I look at it and go, well, you know, I'm okay with a guy making $1 billion as long as he's not making $1 billion and bypassing things that are harming people. You know,
right. Using force,
not even using force, or using pharmaceuticals. I am completely anti-pharmaceutical. I don't believe the I think that's probably between that and the military-industrial complex. Those are the two worst bodies on this planet.
Right.
My personal opinion. So when you're looking at this kind of thing, it's a combination of all of this, first of all, because the technology can be used for the wrong reasons as much as the good. That's part of the problem we have in this world we live in, this humanity we live in, is everything we develop that's good can always be turned around and made bad. So how do we combat that?
Right. So that is something that I've basically had addressed to me at various transhumanist type conferences and the like, where they've addressed what exact kinds of externalities and what kinds of vulnerabilities, I should say, are created by these technologies. If you're implanting something into your body that performs some kind of a simple task, even a pacemaker, very simple example, right? You probably wouldn't call somebody who has a pacemaker a cyborg,
right?
But you've got a little computer in your body that's determining your heartbeat. Imagine if somebody hacked into that, right? Right now, already, businesses every now and again, right? A hacker can get into a business's computer and then make them pay something like $800 to get their business data back, right? Or to get their computer running again. Imagine if somebody could hold a virtual gun to your head by saying, I've hacked into your heart, your pacemaker. Watch, your heartbeat's beating slower because I'm telling it to, and if you don't wire me $1,000, I'm going to make it stop, right? So that's sort of an extreme example, but when you start implanting technology into your body, technology has vulnerabilities built into it. So I think the biggest concern tends to be not so much the externality of, oh, I've put some kind of tech into my own body, isn't it going to hurt somebody else? Because we already have technology that allows us to hurt other people, right? One can just go to the local gun shop to find that. But you're opening up,
or the local rental car facility, or the local U-Haul, or the local sporting goods store.
I don't mean to call out guns specifically. You could go to your Walmart and buy a machete, of course. But to use a morbid example, but the point is, transhumanism could open up the possibility that you'd have certain types of vulnerabilities inside of your body that currently would your brain is not hackable at this point. But if you put a microchip into your hand, somebody could, for example, surveil where you are walking if it had some kind of GPS capability. So far, these technologies are not prevalent enough that I think that's a real considerable concern in the context they exist today. But we're talking about this in the context of where it could go in the future. If it becomes that only the Luddite doesn't have the microchip, then you have to be concerned on a societal scale about what sorts of vulnerabilities that microchip proposes.
When I first started talking about this, they weren't microchipping people on the regular basis. My biggest concern when I got into everything, I'm former military. My biggest concern was my DNA. How are they tracking me? What are they looking for there? Now we are connecting in, and again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm anti this thought, this idea, because it can't. I mean, imagine being born with no legs, and at the age of 9 years old, all of a sudden you can stand up and walk. It was something you could never do before. But the technology is there to make that happen. That's awesome. That's incredible. That's amazing. But where does it stop? We were watching Avengers, and I hate to bring movies into things, Ford, and I don't know. What do you think about the comparison of what time we got? 31 there. All right. What do you think of the comparison of movies and everyday events, or just in general copying life? Do you ever think about that? Does that ever grab your attention? Do you ever,
Well, I think in the context of what we're talking about, sci-fi always tries to address the issues that it thinks we're going to have in the future, in the same way that horror films try to address the problems that we're having today. So with sci-fi, I think that some of these things are starting to come into the conscience of the futurist a bit, and so you do have movies like Blade Runner has asked many of these types of questions. Right. Probably the biggest example this year was actually Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson, which is based on a graphic novel that came out a long time ago. But Ghost in the Shell was essentially about this, where there was a human woman whose brain was put into basically a robot. So she essentially would be the quintessential or the terminal transhumanist, which is to say that she had all that's left is her human mind, but everything else about her is robotic. And all of the other characters in the film, right? Spoiler alert, but one of the characters gets his eyes blown out or something in a bomb, and he's got robotic eyes the next day, right? And for the rest of the movie, this character has robotic eyeballs, right? So, but in real life, I've filmed a guy named who goes by the name Iborg. His actual name is Rob Spence, who his eye does not film, but he actually has a mechanical eye. It does film. I'm sorry, it does film. He just can't see through it. I interviewed a guy who actually has a mechanical eye that films, and the footage goes into a monitor that can then be imported onto a computer. But I actually have as I'm interviewing him with my own cameras, I also have first-person footage out of his eyeball of me.
Is that in your trailer there for the Transhuman documentary?
That's public. And I'm probably going to be putting out a new trailer for it sometime in the next month or so, because the trailer that's out right now is based on just one conference and not from any of the other stuff I've covered.
All right, so let's talk about this documentary a little bit. Let's talk about what you're working on here, because I know you got a tight schedule, and we got about 10 minutes or so left with you. The title, Transhuman, a documentary, is that what it's called?
It's sort of a working title, yeah. So originally I announced the title as Transhuman, but it turns out there was a film that's already kind of been subject to an international copyright called Transhuman. Okay. So now I'm calling it Transhuman, a documentary working title or something like that, just as a temporary measure. So I'll have to figure out something interesting. If anybody has a good title idea, let me know. It's got to have the word transhuman or transhumanism in it somewhere, right? So, but in any event, the documentary.
I'm starbursting in my head right now as we're talking.
Yeah. Please let me know. I'll give someone a free T-shirt with the name on it.
I always love a free T-shirt. Every redneck loves a good free T-shirt, so we can definitely get you that.
So the film is. I'm hoping to focus on a few different things. Part of it is a snapshot of what the movement encapsulate. So I've filmed people do RFID chip implants. I've filmed just last month and actually live streamed for everybody to watch as someone attempted a do-it-yourself HIV treatment, gene editing therapy, basically, that he conducted on his own body.
Can you give me a little detail on that one, because I'm really confused on that. I did see that post, and a little detail on that.
Yeah, so there's a pretty good Gizmodo article about it, as well as, of course, the News to Share article in the live stream. But to give the 30-second version, an individual that I know named Tristan Roberts is HIV positive, and he has been for about 5 years. And for 2 years, he basically has given up on using the pharmaceutical stuff. His HIV isn't severe enough that it really presents considerable symptoms. But of course, you have to keep the HIV levels down. So about 1% of HIV, people who contract HIV, and probably 1% of just the population in general, actually have a genetic immunity to HIV, or to the symptoms of HIV, where basically their body will naturally create an antitoxin that pretty much keeps the HIV at bay as soon as it enters their body. So the goal of this experiment was essentially isolate that gene from a person who is immune and inject it into his body and hope that the gene will continue to function in his body in order to produce the antitoxin and bring the HIV levels down.
Okay.
So I live streamed him basically talk to my audience and answer questions and things like that. And then on the live stream, right, he injected himself with it. And he was next to a person who developed it for him, but basically due to FDA regulations, right, it couldn't be administered by somebody else.
Here's an issue for it. Here's the issue I have with that for it is I know some people that I pay attention to that I've been listening to for years that really believe that HIV is more of a hoax, more of a not a real thing. I don't know a lot about this, so I'm not going to try to claim that I do, but there's guys out there, Bob Tuskin, a good friend of mine. I don't know if you know Bob or not. Did you ever hear that name?
No.
All right. Bob Tuskin, a couple guys that he works with, really claim that HIV is a distraction and a really bad, just a fake thing. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't get into all that, but I do have my questions on that too. And I know you're a news guy. You really try to go with what you can prove and what you can talk about and focus on. But that's something I'd like to get a conversation with you and some other guys.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'll gladly send you my footage of Tristan going to a doctor to get his blood drawn in order to test his HIV levels, which he's done every week since. I mean, if you're implying that HIV simply doesn't exist, I don't think that's particularly possible. But this is really with respect to a radical cure. I mean, the notion that the entire disease doesn't exist is probably outside of the paradigm that I'm talking about here. While I'd at the same time I'd be fascinated to read whatever information was given to you that would lead to that conclusion.
Again, I'm not the scientist here. I talk to a lot of different people and I take a lot of different information in, and I just kind of sit with it and go, oh, look at this. Let's throw this at this guy. So I'm not trying to distract you. I know you try to be very up forward or straightforward, and like this transhumanism thing. This is a hard thing to cover. This is not. It's not a topic that most average Americans or average person in general would look at and go, yeah, that's a good idea. So it's a weird thing to discuss, and I'm totally against it. I'll be honest with you. I am. Like I said, there's the situations where you have a medical issue, where you have an injury, where you can make life better. I'm not against that, but I believe this is going to become more of something that is not something we want.
Well, I'd be interested to know basically why. And I know we only have about 5 minutes left, but I'd be interested to know whether you follow along more of what would be called left-wing or right-wing bioconservatism, right? Somebody who's concerned about it for, some reason. It sounds like you were describing a little bit of concern about like externality, or also vulnerability, right? What if it hurts the person that it's inside of? I think that the part of the reason for making this is that whether people like it or not, I do think that it's coming. Right. This is part of what I have to point out is that if my films, if somebody watches my entire movie and then they say, wow, this is demented, this is satanic, or like, I mean, who knows, right? If somebody has the absolute most negative opinion they possibly could of this movement after watching an hour and a half about it, that doesn't make it not happen. Right. Yeah. This is a movement that exists largely in the black and gray market.
Being against the Vietnam War did not prevent it from happening. Being against the Iraqi war did not prevent it from happening. So
and the difference between this and a war is that this is going to happen here, and this is happening here. So far, it's kind of in the black market. It's kind of in the gray and black market because. Doctors will lose their medical licenses if they start doing this stuff. So people are doing these things, self-experimenting in their garage, right? This is not a regulated industry. So it's going to happen fast. And to some respect, many of these people are kind of live outside the paradigm, right? They're not trying to get permission from the state. They're just doing it, you know, and so it's kind of about sidestepping.
Which I'm not against that either.
That it's, right. So I think that it's going to accelerate pretty quickly because unlike other medical technologies where we're probably way behind because of the way that the government regulates them, right, where something that could cure something and the FDA, takes years and requires all this different stuff. It costs millions of dollars.
The government gets involved. It takes forever
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as Reagan said, right, the scariest thing you can hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? The transhumanist movement so far is largely bypassing the state. It sees the state as, something that probably exists to get in the way. So I think as long as the state stays out of it, it's going to be something where the technology is advancing.
Ford, let me ask you a question.
Kind of in the fringes.
I'm going to ask you a question here, and I'll answer the same question after I ask it, and I think you'll be surprised. But are you a religious guy at all?
I think that it's kind of irrelevant to who, I guess I like the Ron Swanson answer. I'm a practicing none of your fucking business.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
You know what I mean?
That,
I'm saying that sarcastically, but no, I mean, I'm pretty openly agnostic atheist. I'm
the same. I'm the same. I don't believe.
Respectful of those who are.
I'm the same way, dude. I don't care what you believe. I had to kind of figure out this little point here. I'm the same way. I don't care. Be what you want to be. Believe what you want to believe in. Don't make it on me. Part of my fear of transhumanism, part of my fear of integrating robot in. What the hell are you doing out there, honey? Part of my fear of integrating robot into humanity is where do we lose control? Where does robot take over? And where does Terminator happen?
Right.
And that's a big fear of mine, That's a very big fear of mine with this whole situation.
It's the ultimate direction of a lot of the conversations I've had. I do have I have 8 minutes of an interview that I did with the chairman of the Transhumanist Party, which I could share with you in a link afterwards if you're interested, where he does talk
absolutely.
about AI. And the and what he perceives as the threat or the non-threat of that. But basically, the clip that I posted, it starts off with him saying, "I do not believe that artificial intelligence is going to rise up and kill everyone," and he has a pretty well-founded basis for that claim. So I'll go a little bit over 7:45 if that's fine.
Yeah, you can, dude. You got it as long as you want. It's my radio station. We can go where as long as you want.
Well, yeah. So the person who I was supposed to be meeting soon just said that she's not ready yet. She was like, "Oh, you can come like after 9 because I'm not ready." So I have a little bit more time than thought before. But
I want to make sure we get this documentary out there because I'm always about promoting documentaries. I love to sit down and watch, even if I don't agree with it. I like to watch it. I like to understand the thought pattern behind it. And transhumanism is not, I mean, this has been a taboo topic for many years. And that's maybe that's part of my fear. My conspiracy side kicks in and it's like, oh, this makes me afraid. I don't want this. I don't want to, but then again, if my son lost his leg, I'd want him to be able to walk again. I'd like him to be able to function as a normal child. So you have to judge where you're willing to draw your line at. Where are you willing to go, this is good, this is bad?
Sure. And so this is where a lot of people get concerned is that, oh, what if it spirals out of control? We have to stop it now because something else might
once the government gets a hold of it, that's pretty bad, though.
And then there's the government getting a hold of things. So I wanted to answer the artificial intelligence question. So I'm probably going to butcher this name, but the guy who I interviewed, who is the chairman of the Transhumanist Party, is Gennady Stolyarov II, and he's the author of the book Death is Wrong. But when I asked him about artificial intelligence, which was something he was talking about on a panel in Las Vegas, which is where I interviewed him, he described that he's actually not so concerned about artificial intelligence sort of wanting to hurt people, because when it has that level of complexity, it's still all complexity that we have manufactured for it. We're not going to give essentially computers motivation to do that which we would not want them to do. There's no reason that a human being would create an extinction desiring bot.
But we see Ford, we
Uh-huh.
see computers learning on their own. It's
right.
Constantly being seen. So if something can learn on its own, whatever program you give it, it can bypass and move away from.
Right, and so this is called generalized intelligence, right? So he talks about how there's a distinction between the type of AI that we have now, which is basically limited, versus generalized.
Okay.
So in the future, one can theorize the idea of generalized intelligence, where you would have your Siri, right? Let's say Siri is a very simple artificial intelligence, right? Where Siri might be able to learn how to do something based on your behavior. So perhaps Siri is with you all the time. Maybe Siri's in your maybe Siri's in your glasses, so Siri sees everything you do. At the moment, if Siri was in my eyeglasses somehow and had access to a camera all the time, Siri still only has all of the functionality that she has been taught, right? And maybe there is an aspect of it that it learns some specific thing, right? If it has visual recognition, for example, it might be recording everything you do, and then it learns what certain things are based on how they interact with the world.
Okay.
But Siri, at the moment, lacking generalized intelligence, if Siri were to be in your eyeglasses and you were to play a game of chess, for example, Siri would not learn the rules of chess because she has not been programmed to know or to learn the rules of chess. Her intelligence is limited because she can only do the functions that she has been taught. And there is a little bit of creativity, I guess, that's been put into technology to give the impression that it learns. For example, there is computers that have computer vision, right, where you can put an image into Google and it can tell you this is an image of a tree, right? And if it sees 100 tree images, it's probably more precisely going to be able to define a tree in the future. Because it's been exposed to those things, right? So you could say in quotes that it's learned.
But I could also say though that I post multiple pictures of myself and my family, and all of a sudden Facebook is tagging every picture and defining who this picture is of.
Because it has been taught to learn something about you. What Facebook cannot do is just without a human.
But if you can learn, you can grow beyond your teacher.
That is true. At the moment, generalized intelligence doesn't exist that would allow that to happen. So theoretically, there's no technology on Earth that we're aware of that could currently do that. For a good test, or a really simple test, would be you can't take Google Translate and stick it into a self-driving car and hope for it to drive the car.
Ford,
it's really easy.
Ford, how old are you? I got to ask you, how old are you, brother?
23.
All right, you're 23. I'm 42 years old. When I was 12, 13 years old, we didn't have computers. We didn't have the internet. The things you and I are discussing, and I'm trying to, I hope you understand where I'm going here. I'm not being insulting.
Sure.
Please don't take it insulting. But the point is the conversation we're having right now about this ability to take something into something else wasn't even feasible. Wasn't even a thought.
Right.
It wasn't possible. The video games we had were 2D, if that, if you're lucky, and you're taking do you realize that expansion and that's a short period of time to have such a massive expansion of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you see why it's hard for some old timer like me to go, oh wow, yeah, let's do it.
Right. So the way that Gennady described it, and again, I'm describing the position of a prominent transhumanist. I'm not necessarily saying that it's the position I share, but I find it convincing. I find it reasonable.
Okay.
He would say that, or he has told me that he is actually more concerned about limited intelligence than generalized intelligence because a limited intelligence that's granted a lot of power. For example, I personally would be very, very concerned about the idea of giving a drone the ability to decide who it kills, right? I think that would be a very scary prospect if you put a drone in the sky. Only a single function. I'm not expecting the drone to learn how to play chess, but if there's a drone in the sky above Iraq deciding who ISIS is, right, or who is a combatant, that could be dangerous because it's very hard to mathematically evaluate something like that.
Right.
And so the example he gave is a drone may not be particularly sensitive to the practices of an Iraqi wedding, right, in which they're firing, AKs in the air to celebrate. Maybe they're firing
An American
blanks,
soldier may not be very in tune to the practices of an Iraqi wedding, and they might fire on their own. Oh, sure. I think that's
right.
happened.
And so,
wait a
and
second,
that
right?
actually happened, right? Under the Obama administration, right? 22 people were killed at a wedding,
right?
By a drone strike.
Exactly.
Right? So it is true. It is, and
that was humans. Imagine a computer. I mean,
right?
That's where it gets crazy, bro.
So, but the idea is, if human beings already have generalized intelligence, right? We are the only beings that already have this, where you actually, as a human, can take a lesson you've learned doing one thing, right? You can take this conversation we're having, maybe if you've learned something, and you can go have that conversation with somebody else, or you can translate it into a tweet, right? You have generalized intelligence. If a robot did as well, we can imagine that ourselves as kind of these human overlords over these robots, right? We would assume that a human would probably make it in the image of what we want, right? You'd probably create a robot
as a god.
That is going
so now
to
we're
do
talking
some
about God
kind of task
and
for you.
religion. Now we're back to God and religion.
In a way, it's kind of the opposite. Yeah, would the robot think of you as God? That's a scary prospect. Right?
There's a lot of scary
prospects that are
process.
probably more concerning.
Yeah, that's something I hope you put in that documentary. But I always say Patron.
Indeed.
It's like tequila. But it's Patreon /Ford Fischer. Fischer. I always get your name wrong.
It's pronounced Fisher, but it's Fischer.
And I always call it Fischer. My
German.
wife was telling me earlier, you're saying it wrong. I'm like, shut up. I'm just going to say it this way anyway.
Right. Ford Fischer. FORD FISCHER.
And I appreciate you joining us, my friend. I look forward to seeing what you put together in this documentary. Because again, I see potential of good, but I always see potential of bad.
Sure.
Unfortunately, because the rich and powerful always take the good to the bad. It's not our fault. Well, you and I aren't doing it. I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming me. I'm not blaming Joe Farmer down the corner. It's unfortunate that the ones that develop these technologies, in my beliefs and the way I see life going, always be the ones that use them for the worst thing.
If I can close off with an interesting analogy, I've said that part of the reason I want to make this film is that, if you were to go, I'm giving you a challenge. I'm putting you in a time machine and sending you to or a little earlier. Actually, I'm sending you to 1770. You're meeting up with Thomas Jefferson,
Okay.
and you have to explain to him what an iPhone is, right? Or you have to explain to him more broadly even what the internet is, right?
Can I just explain to him what a phone is? Because I think that would be just as confusing.
Right. And so if you had to explain to him what the internet, right, it would be very difficult. But I think we may be at a similar stage of ignorance right now, where what's going to happen in the future is so advanced and so out there. We may be, the 1700s colonial Americans, right, compared to what is coming. It might be unfathomable, which is why I have been talking to some people who are really on the fringe, right? Futurists have a fun time, but they're also notoriously bad at predicting the future because it's really hard to do.
Or Ford.
But somebody would have that same fear if you went into the 1700s and you told them that for $200, and at the time maybe the equivalent of like $10, you'll be able to carry around a device in your pocket that has access to this virtual universe, to a non-existent universe that instantly gives you text, that gives you completely unlimited knowledge, right? The idea of Wikipedia on your iPhone, right? If you explain that to someone in the 1700s, they might call it something like witchcraft. How do you know the devil's not in the cell phone, right? it would be considered blasphemous. It would be considered dangerous, right? Thomas Jefferson himself might say, what if the tyrants get a hold of this? We need to kill whoever has this iPhone, right? The redcoats and their iPhones.
Damn the redcoats. Damn the redcoats, I tell you. All right, well, Ford, I would say in response to that, my friend, we don't always want to see what we wish for, and
right.
God damn it, I don't know. It's a scary thought. There's too many different factors to weigh in on it, and we just have to. I guess I was writing something down. I didn't write it down, and now I hate that I didn't write it down. Ford Fisher. No, I'll say his name right at the very end of the interview. Ford Fisher, News to Share, newstoshare.com, at News to Share, at Ford Fisher on Twitter. The Patreon, Ford Fisher, give him $1. Give him $1 a month. If 45 people gave $1 a month, he'd be $45 more towards his documentary. And that's how Patreon works. Dave's been driving me nuts to try to do Patreon. I don't know. I'm just trying to do the Twitch thing right now, get the video working properly.
Right.
All right, brother. Well, you have a good one. I appreciate your time. Anytime we can help you out, and thanks for jumping on. I had some other things I wanted to talk to you about, but I know we couldn't get there. The failing. Remember, nothing happened on the 4th of November.
Oh yes, we were going to talk about the the November 4th nothingness. Well, that would be the really quick answer. Nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
That case closed.
Exactly. All right, brother. Thank you very much. You have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Peace out. There goes Ford. I appreciate his time. I appreciate his work and then what he does. Go check out his Patreon, not Patreon or Patron, whatever it was. Ford Fisher. See what he's got going on. He's doing some great stuff. I like guys like him. I like people that are trying to make a difference. He's not a conspiracy guy. I never claimed he was a conspiracy guy. I am, and I'm always going to spin that way. I'm always going to go back to hey, was it a conspiracy or was it not a conspiracy? How'd that go down? How'd that happen? Why did it happen that way? Because that's what I do. That's how I do it, my friends. That's just how it goes down. You're listening to the First 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Free Blood, Radio Chaos, Radio Confluence, Salty Talk Radio, The D, and I think that's everything on that end. Video-wise, Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, Ustream. Check it out. It's kind of fun. You want to watch me be stupid? Watch me be stupid. Watch me watching me watch you watching me. That's what I got to say. All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Be safe. Be cool. Be calm. Just be a human being, all right? Just be a human being. Talk to you soon. Gotta hit the button here. Where is it? There it is. I got it.
Let's investigate the consequence of a bittersweet loss of sense, a weapon in a war against ourselves. The setting sun is loading guns, don't be afraid of mistakes, emotions misplaced, to love or to hate. I don't know what to do, we're all lost and confused, just trying to get through in this world. Always trying to prove that we're worth what it takes, but it takes a long time in the dirt to see grace. When I'm trying to be real, they tend to be fake. When I'm risking it all with no time to waste. Fuck this rat race, I'm leaving this place. It's time to blast off, destination space. With the sunset hung behind us and the universe universe to blind us from the moon. We'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go. And I don't know how I got here or how I'm getting home. But right from day one, I've been in this alone. With odds stacked against, I've been drowning in stress. They said, can you take more? I said, give me what's left. An old man once told me, Allie, don't ever look back. Keep your eyes on that prize and give them hell to your death. This is a test, just a frequency check for intelligent life. Now it's time to connect. It's an SOS, the dad's been sent. So now we just wait and hope for the best. With the sunset hung behind us, in the universe to blind us from the moon, we'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go. The sunset hung behind us, in the universe to blind us from the moon. We'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go.
Love you guys so much. Thanks. The First 52's the bump diggity.
Traps let me out. Thoughts inside my mind, twisting inside my brain. People they come alive, stuck inside this game. Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy where I'd rather be. Come and talk with me, come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this, I'm trapped in this world. Thought you were alive until you felt my pain. The circus in my mind, like riding on the train. I hear a voice from across the hall, across the hall, across the hall. I try to run, but it follows me, follows me, follows me. It comes to talk to me, it comes to torture me. Still, there's no escape from this insanity. Why was I made for this? For me to sell my soul? I'm losing consciousness. I'm trapped, let me go. Waiting inside of life. my wings and fly. 'Cause I was just like him. I'll grow old and die, but I'm not buying it. Breathe in, breathe out. Long trap, let me out. Breathe in, breathe out. Long trap, let me out. Thoughts inside my mind. Twist